This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hi there, I'm Phil Leahy, and I'd like to welcome you to, I guess, what would be our first real episode of our show. If you saw the last show, it's called The Empty Chair, Exposing Addiction. And Colleen and I, when we were here last time, we told you that we were going to try and cover every avenue of addiction and recovery, and with the help of you there, if you have suggestions, we look forward to hearing from you. Those of you who watch it, I hope you will spread the word about our show. I think you're going to find it informative. And tonight, I have three very special guests. One used to be my host, but tonight she's going to be a guest. Tonight's show is all in the sponsor family. And I'm going to start with the sponsor who's been the sponsor the longest. This is Joy, who sponsors Colleen, who sponsors Erica. And what they're going to do is, I'm going to ask them a couple of questions, but they're pretty much going to take off on themselves, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to ask them questions. We're going to give you an idea of what a sponsor is and the importance of it towards a recovery. And if we have time, we'll cover a little bit more in the technical. So the first basic question, what's a sponsor? And who wants to start?
I'll start, I guess.
Okay.
A sponsor is I attend a 12-step program. You can be like abstinent from drugs and you can be in recovery. Basically, abstinent from drugs is just not taking anything, being clean, not having any chemicals in your system. Being in recovery is doing a little bit of work on the inside, changing the person that I was, changing my behavior so that I don't find the need to pick up drugs again, whatever your drug of choice happens to be, and it doesn't matter what your drug of choice is. So basically, there's 12 steps. I like to describe them as like directions on how to live and do the next right thing. And a sponsor, it's suggested that you find somebody who has already worked the 12 steps or who is working the 12 steps, so they can just give you some guidance on how to go about doing them. So that's basically what a sponsor is a guide through the 12 steps. Someone with a little more experience than me who's already been through it.
Okay. Now, Joy, you've been the sponsor the longest, okay? And I know you've had a lot of sponsees.
Right.
How do you choose each other to be sponsor, sponsee? How do you know the person's right for you?
I think God just puts them in my life. They just come to me, and when they come to me, they have sadness and pain in their eyes, and they're willing to do the work. They're willing to do what it takes to not just stay clean, but to recover from this disease. And I say yes, and there's some things they have to do. They have to call me, sometimes every day in the beginning, and they have to attend meetings on a regular basis, and they have to get a higher power in their life, and get into the 12 steps of recovery.
Okay, now, I know over the years, you've had a lot. Mm-hmm. Has anybody ever approached you wanting you to be a sponsor, and for some reason you'd say, I don't know if we're the right fit?
Yes, that's absolutely happened.
Yeah.
It's personality sometimes kind of clash, mm-hmm. And sometimes somebody is really willing to do the program, and then once they're around for a little while, they stop calling and they stop going to meetings. And as a sponsor, they have to chase their own recovery. I can't work their recovery harder than they do.
Right.
So if they're not willing to do what it takes, then the sponsorship ceases. And it basically just ceases because they stop calling. And I might call on them a couple of times and check, mm-hmm. and they're just not interested, or they relapsed,
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. That's one of the topics that I had to learn about recovery that no parent likes to mm-hmm. talk about. Now, Erica, you're the newbie basically on the block, all right? Colleen is your sponsor, but you've recently started to do some sponsoring on your own.
Yes, I have.
So obviously you learn from Colleen, who learns from Joy, who, by the way, has a sponsor, who has a sponsor. So you have quite a sponsorship family. And I know you guys are a little nervous. Just take a deep breath. What does being a sponsor mean to you?
Well, to me, it means, you know, what I got from my sponsor and from my grant sponsor is to always be there when my sponsor needs me to be, like just to answer the phone for her, to give her the guidance that she needs. And if I can't give her the guidance that she needs, I call my sponsor and ask her what I could do for my sponsee. That, you know, if I don't think I have the right answer, and I look for that answer to help her. You know, I do the very best that I can to help her, you know, because that's what I learned is, you know, one addict helping another, because no one really understands us like we do.
Right.
You know, and that's basically what I do for my sponsee is give her the guidance that my sponsor gave me.
Yeah, and you know, it's amazing because, you know, obviously I've known Joy for a while and developed a nice relationship with her because of Colleen, obviously. I've been fortunate in that respect. Now, as a sponsor, all right, basically I know that you were able to talk to me because basically Colleen kind of gave me permission.
Right. We used to. Yeah,
When I had the red flags, you know, well, you don't trust me, go see my sponsor. So
you don't want to call me every day too.
But as a rule, you almost have like a confidentiality between the sponsor and sponsee and so forth like that. So I mean, if crazy parents start calling you up, you know, so you really can't divulge what's going on with them. in
No,
that respect.
and I've had a few parents call me,
Yeah.
and I talk to them. I try to appease them, their minds that they're doing the right thing. They're coming to meetings and they're staying clean. And you know, I know that you've called me a few times when Colleen seemed a little off, and you were worried about her. And I would say to you, she's okay. She's just going through her process, and she's okay. You know, she's calling me, she's doing the right thing, and she's staying clean.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, whereas you're new to being a sponsor, and have you had times, like I say, like I know you've called her when you've had the problems like that. Have you had times when you've had doubts, you've been nervous, and you've had to give her a call to kind of get that little boost or that little dose of confidence or whatever like that?
Oh, many times. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, many times. Absolutely, she's been there for me many times.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, the perception of a lot of people is, once you've stopped, then that's it. And I stand corrected. The perception of a lot. I had that perception also. Colleen was clean for 15 months, and I had belonged to a support group, and I said, well, she's all set. She's cured. I'm just going to help these other people because I don't need the help anymore. And then she had the R word. She had a huge relapse, and that was before you had sponsors or anything like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is back then, if you would have been really working recovery and you know, before you relapse, you know, like where you are now, chances are you would have been calling Joy when you ran into these little problems or whatever like that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I wasn't on anything. Like I wasn't, you know, like you said, I was clean for 15 months, but I would go to a meeting here or there. I didn't reach out to anyone. Like I didn't have anyone that I really trusted in recovery. I didn't have any friends in recovery. I just didn't, you know, understand. So and I was hanging out with still like the same people. I didn't change anything. Change is so important when you come into, you know, when you decide to get clean, when you decide to come into recovery. Like you have to change like people, places, and things around you. And I didn't. All I did was put the drugs down. If I would have had, you know, Joy and Erica and the other people that are, and if I reach out to Joy and she's not there, well, not that you're not there, but like if she, you know, doesn't answer the phone or whatever, like I can call Erica. Sometimes the sponsor becomes the sponsee. Sometimes that happens too.
Yeah.
Or I can call Joy's sponsor or whatever. I mean, it still stays like confidential, like what we say to each other. But you know, just because if I call Joy and she's not available at that moment, which is pretty rare, like you're usually there all the time.
Yeah.
But you know, we can reach out to each other. But if I would have had Joy then, the situation would have played out. I'm positive, way different, way
All right.
different.
Now, this question is for all three of you. I don't know if it concerns so much the sponsor, but it does because you guys work the recovery so well. What do you say to people, all right, no, let me put it this way. What would you say to people who really have no knowledge, who have been fortunate enough not to have addiction affect their lives, their personal lives, through someone they love? What would you say to them when they say to you, well, once you're off, you shouldn't start again? How can you explain to them that it is a disease, that relapse is part of it, that recovery is something that you have to work for the rest of your life? How do you explain to them when they think that using is using and being off is being off? Because I got to be honest with you, that is the mentality of people who haven't been affected, like me.
Well,
Yeah.
I relapsed for a good 6 years before I actually stayed clean and for the amount of time that I've been clean for. And I know for myself and for others that if I don't do what I do on a daily basis to stay clean, I will pick up. Because I have stopped going to, I was clean before, and I would stop going to meetings, or I wouldn't get a sponsor. I wouldn't use the tools that the program gives us, and I got high every time. And I was out there for close to 30 years, and I will not give up what I have today in my soul and in my heart and my spirit for any drug. I'd rather go to a meeting, pick up the phone, call one of the girls, pray to God, and work and do my step work, which is where I heal,
So, I mean,
It's an ongoing process.
other than really getting the awareness out, all right, of what addiction is, there's really no way to convince somebody that without working recovery for the rest of your life, that you can relapse, no matter how many years it is, right?
Yeah.
And that-
It's hard to explain it to anyone unless they have
Unless they're an addict.
Unless they're an
Yeah.
addict, or unless like someone like you who has like a family member
Yeah.
who's got like some information about it.
Right.
Like it's really hard because I think it's easier for people to just judge.
Yeah.
And just to say, well, just say no. I have a family member who's on that, I have my brother basically.
Yeah.
He said, well, why can't you just say no?
Yeah.
I wish I could have just said no.
know.
I wish it was that easy, but this is like a threefold disease: physical, mental, spiritual, in the end, financial. Like it just affects every area of your life.
And that's why I think if we don't accomplish anything out of this show, I'm kind of hoping that by having people like you and others come in, people who work the recovery program, people who sponsor recovery programs, halfway houses, psychological center, the Moore Group, and so forth, if we could at least get the awareness to people, and I don't know if they realize how lucky they are that they haven't been affected by someone who they care a great deal about. And hopefully we'll be able to get that across to them, a message like that. Now, another question I have about the sponsorship family you have. Those of us who have family members that, turn to addiction, one of the hardest things we have to do is detach. And you guys are kind of in a unique position because you've been on both ends of it. You've been the addict who has had to have their family detached from them, but now as sponsors, you have sponsees obviously who don't make it, who relapse and so forth. How do you guys, and I know your feelings are very deep for them because I know the passion you guys have for this, how do you guys detach? What can I tell the people in my support group how to detach and know it's the right thing to do?
How to detach? Well, I mean, it's
Let me put
really
it this
hard.
way.
Well,
If Erica relapsed, how would you handle it?
Well, it would depend how she would handle it, how she would handle the relapse. I mean, if I don't even like saying that, but like,
I know, right?
let's just say like if someone close to us like relapsed,
Okay.
That was a dirty word.
strike that one, edit that out.
Yeah.
basically, like if someone really close to me, like in my life, were to relapse, and if they came right back and they were willing and they dove into the program, if detox was necessary, go to treatment that way. Then I would be willing to help. But I also need to remember that I am, first and foremost, I am an addict, and I'm trying to save my life also.
Yep.
And I have to keep myself safe too. Because addicts, when you relapse, when you're using, there's a lot of lies, there's a lot of manipulation, and I have to be careful, because I've been duped by people who told me they were clean, and we're sitting there doing step work and they're under the influence. That's not healthy for me.
Right.
So there's got to be like willingness, I think, on the other person's part, and if there's not, it's a safety thing, because like I need to always keep myself like first and keep myself safe, because if I can't stay clean and be there to help myself, I can't help anybody anyways.
Yeah.
If they relapse and they continue relapsing, they'll get me high before I get them clean, if I continue to stay with them.
That's right. Because I'm going to take a wild guess, as long as you've been doing this sponsoring thing, and I bring it up, because I know you've had some failures, or not failures, but you've had some sponsees that haven't worked out too good, and maybe because she was still new at it, but I would see the way it worked on her. The hurt that she'd had. Now, you've been doing it, and I'm going to take a wild guess, you've had a lot of sponsees that just haven't worked out.
Yeah.
It's got to tear you apart.
It does.
A lot.
It absolutely does. I thinking of someone right now, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart, because you get to know all their secrets. You get to know them so well as a person, and they get to know you. They know if I say hello or hey, they know how I'm feeling. Like, and it goes both ways, and it breaks my heart. It just breaks my heart.
See, and that's why I try to make the comparison between what a parent goes through. Do you guys, I know with parents a big thing is the guilt. Now, when you lose a sponsee, do you feel guilty? Do you think there's something you should have done that you didn't do, or whatever? Do you feel that you weren't a good sponsor, and that's why? Does that ever come across to you, like it does with a parent?
I think it crosses your mind, but
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that you're able to. You're not responsible for somebody else's relapse.
I know that.
You're just
Yeah.
not.
Right.
And we
See-
can't enable either.
I
you
can't
know?
keep someone clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, and I think that's the biggest advantage that you guys have over us parents. Parents are public enemy number one. You guys couldn't survive without us. I'm sorry, someone who's an active addict couldn't survive without their parents, or someone who take care of them in that respect.
I lost my brother from addiction, and there was nothing I could do. He overdosed, and there was nothing I could do.
There you go.
And he had been clean for 8 years.
Right.
And then he picked up, and he couldn't come back.
Now, I know Colleen got her basic training, you might say, in school. What about you guys? Where did you really learn about addiction?
Yeah, in school. Started
Yeah, I
early
was
in school.
13 years old,
Yeah.
so yeah, peers, friends in school.
Peer pressure has a lot to do with it.
You
Now,
only do
your
what your friends are
sponsorship
doing.
family,
Yeah.
your sponsorship family, I know there's 3 of you right here, but obviously you're sponsoring someone, and I did meet your sponsor.
Terry.
Yeah, and she also has a sponsor.
Oh, yes. Who has a sponsor? Who has a sponsor?
And now I know you go to meetings, your regular meetings and so forth like that, but I can remember when Colleen was still staying with us, she'd say, yeah, we're all going over to Joy's house. So you have your little family meetings also then, right?
Yeah, we're having a sponsorship dinner coming up in July.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So, and again, I'm trying to keep on the subject of sponsorship, and obviously you guys are close. How could you help us? Well, and I know you do it. Like, I know you do a lot of talking at your meetings. I know you go to commitments and, you go to the detoxes and all these places like that, which is all well and good. But how could you kind of help, actually, Colleen and I down the road, how can you help us get out the message of what addiction really is, the disease that it is, being able to speak out openly. I mean, you guys are all addicts, all right? But yet you're here speaking to, I don't know, 4 or 5 people that are watching, and and hopefully there'll be more than that down the road. But you guys are willing to come here and speak out. I mean, people are going to look at you and they're going to say, well, they look okay. They don't look different. They don't look like lowlife crawling out of the street. I mean, do you understand the contribution that you guys make with the work you make by just coming on here? I mean, I know when you do your meetings, you're talking to other addicts, but I just wonder how much you realize you could contribute by talking to Joe Blow on the street.
I think it's very, very important to get the message out that this is a disease. That, like, we don't decide when we're children that we want to grow up and be drug addicts. Like, I wanted to be Miss America when I was a kid. Like, I really did.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't say that I wanted to be a drug addict when I grew up. You know, I didn't want to disappoint my parents. And my mother, of all people, does not believe that this is a disease. She believes that this is a choice. And that if I go out and if I make this mistake, you know, if I fall off or if I choose to stop going to meetings or I don't call my sponsor, then it's my fault. Like, she refuses to believe that this is a disease, no matter how much information I give her. You know, she just doesn't want to believe it. So there's a lot of people out there who don't understand that, like, this is in comparison to cancer. Like, if I had cancer, I would go for my medicine. I would go for my chemotherapy every week or every day or however much the doctor told me to go. And so my doctors tell me I need to go for my medicine, and that's my meetings and my sponsor and my step work and everything that I need to do. And I do it, and I'm getting better. You know, and every day I get a little better, but I'll never be cured. Like, I'll always have that disease, just like I would always have that cancer in me. It might stay in remission, but if I stopped taking my medicine, it would get me sick again. You know, and people just don't understand that.
That's a very good example. She may have a future as a sponsor yet, huh? But no, I'm so glad that you brought up, you know, and it's true, you know, cancer, sugar, diabetes, so forth. And I'll tell you one of the things I run into, and I've been getting help from people, you know, from the program and, you know, from the MORE organization. And we use this as actually, I was at a Democratic breakfast and I got to talk to Nikki Songus and a few other politicians. And I almost used the example you did. If somebody had a terminal disease and they went to the hospital and the hospital said to them, well, yeah, we sympathize with you, but we're filled up right now. Come back in 2 weeks or a month. And you know as well as I do, getting an addict to actually agree to go to recovery is a battle, but then trying to find a place for them is another battle. And how does that, now you're a sponsor, okay? You have someone that relapses, has to go back into recovery. Is there anything you do to maybe help them get into it, or are they pretty much on their own, finding a place or whatever?
Yeah, we help them. We make calls to detoxes. We know people that work in detoxes,
Right.
so we'll call them and try to get a bed for them. It's so much tougher to get a bed these days
It really
than it
is.
was back in the day.
It really is.
Yeah, it's hard.
And that's got to tell you something about the numbers of people who are becoming addicts, who are increasing the numbers. And also, it's also got to tell you something about the funding that I'm sure has been being cut back, so there's less places and so forth
Right.
like that. But
It's really sad. That's
It's
why,
very
like,
sad.
you know, there's a lot of meetings, you know, like there's a lot of meetings, and it's like, and you can't. I mean, I know people. I have friends who maybe they did need to go to detox, but they didn't. Like, they just kind of stuck it out at home, and they got the drugs out of their system because they really wanted it, you know, because this is it's the 12-step program is for people who want it, not need it.
Yeah.
Because all the addicts need it, but not everybody wants it. They don't want to do the work. You know, they want to do it their way.
And it's a lot of work.
It is.
It takes
but-
a lot of work.
Yeah.
You have to really want it.
I know this is going to break your heart, but I was told we only have 5 minutes left.
Oh my.
All right? The one question I want to ask all of you, all right? I'm going to ask you all the same question. Where would you be, do you think now, without a sponsor? We'll start with you because you're the newbie.
Without a sponsor?
Without a sponsor, you're doing it on your own.
Lost, confused, possibly in a psych ward somewhere. I don't know. Probably still struggling, really. I've got a lot back in this 12-step program, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I have the guidance of my sponsor.
I know where you'd be, but tell me, where would you be without this one?
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be, right here telling people how I stay clean because I wouldn't know how to stay clean.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't, I mean, Joy's more than she's like my sponsor. She's my friend. She's like it goes on so many different, levels. Like the relationship we have is unbelievable. Where would I be without my sponsor? Probably dead. Probably dead.
Okay. And you, who have helped so many people as, you've sponsored them, I can only imagine what would have happened if you didn't have a sponsor and you didn't get into recovery. Neither one of these two, and I know because I've been to meetings and you're the grand sponsor of them. Everybody comes up. Without you, a lot of these people wouldn't be. It is quite a generation of...
They keep me clean. On my bad days, when I want to get high, because there's times when you do, they keep me clean because they don't trust anyone else. They know I won't tell their secrets, their personal stuff.
I know we're getting close to the end. I want to thank all of you for coming. You're stuck with me forever. So
I am too now.
But what I would like, this is only a half-hour show, and I did want to cover the sponsors because, because of my familiarity with you and obviously with Colleen through you, I did want to get that out. I wanted people to understand that it's not just a matter of saying, okay, I'm not going to use anymore, I'll go to a couple meetings. I want them to know that recovery it's a group thing. And what I would like to ask you is, hopefully Colleen and I are going to be doing this show for quite some time. And down the road, I'd like each of you, if you feel comfortable to come back and maybe we can share your story with, hopefully by then, the 10 or 12 people that are watching the show. All right? If you'd be willing to do that. But I want to thank you for the time you spent here. To the people out there who are watching this, understand that these girls, these ladies, came onto the show and pretty much expose what they've been through, what they're going to go through, and what they'll go through to help each other. So that being said, ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love all of you.
Love you too.
I love you too.
And thank you for coming. And I hope to tune us in next time. We're going to have Jennifer Burns from the Moore Organization. She's going to help tell you a lot about recovery and the whole thing. And I'm going to let Colleen ask the questions next time.
All right.
So thank you again, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.